What is up, YouTube? We are back with another video. This week's video, we are planting switchgrass, and I'm going to be trying to establish switchgrass without spraying any chemicals, tilling, and just broadcast seeding, crimping a standing stretch of rye. This is my food plot right here. Our silky willow and hybrid willow lines are right there, surrounding the hay field back there. But right here along the wood line here, I'm trying to establish a good stand of switchgrass, and I'm going to try to do it without using chemicals. So follow along for more information here, but I'm going to dive in on exactly what I'm doing, show you guys what I'm doing. Then I'm going to be crimping here in about 10 minutes with our Goliath 8-foot crimper. So I'll take 2 passes with the standing rye. That's going to lay it flat. We're going to be getting rain all day tomorrow, so hopefully that seed then will settle in. But switchgrass seed is very, very fine, so I am very confident that the seed is going to make good ground contact, even with the thick stand of rye here. Especially if we're going to get some rain, that switchgrass is going to be able to press down in and to be able to hit good ground contact. So I'm going to be talking about the different settings that I'm using on my spreader here, show you guys the switchgrass and the bag of seed that I'm using from WHS, Jeff Sturgis's, where I'm using up here because I am in zone 4, that the Northern switchgrass, just to be able to establish a switchgrass that's going to be able to hold up to our hardy winters, because we get a lot of snow cover, a lot of high winds, so it just beats down on switchgrass. So I'm hoping that the Northern can hold up to have a good stand of switch here, to be able to screen the wood line here so that deer and other critters aren't able to see inside the food plot until they make it out in the food plot, to make it feel more comfortable and to get deer on the plots before it is too dark. Because right behind me here, up there, is our enclosed blind. So this is kind of more of a gun setup, but I need to get this switchgrass established along the wood line here, and that's why I did not crimp the rest of the food plot here, because I wanted to leave at least about a 10 to 12 foot span where I could get my switchgrass in there and then crimp it with the standing rye. So I'm right on the edge of when I'm almost too late to be crimping the rye, where it's about to seed out. So I need to get it crimped tonight, and then hopefully with that rain it'll press it down, then it'll start to dry out next week with the hot sun, and then that switchgrass should hopefully pop through there. It's going to be a little slow, so I have full anticipation that I'm going to have to mow it probably twice, since I am planting late, because it is the end of June now, and most people are either planting early spring or frost seeding it last fall. So I am behind, but I'm just going to try it here. I got a small bag, and I'm going to talk about the different rates of what I'm spreading, because I am spreading a little heavier because A, I am broadcast seeding, 2, I'm putting it into a standing rye, so I'm a little nervous, and I wanted to go a little heavier just to make sure that I had enough seed making good ground contact. And then finally, just because I am late, we are still getting really good rainfall here, but I am planting late, so I want to get enough seed on the ground to at least try to establish a good stand of switchgrass here. So I am using a solo hand spreader that I put on the setting of 0. Now that seems to go just a little heavy, so if you were to do this in a field where maybe it was soybean stubble or corn stubble last year, and you're also getting a stratification with the wind over the winter, if you're planting, this fall or last fall, if you have already planted, then I would go a little bit less than the 0 setting on the solo spreader for the switchgrass, because it seems to be putting out a little too much. But like I said before, I am doing a higher rate of seed per acre, just because I want to make sure that in this big stand of rye here, that I'm going to make good ground contact, especially once I crimp and the tracks of the skid steer start pressing down both the rye and then the switchgrass seed. And so here is the stand of rye that we are planting into. You can see from the wood line, we're right around that 10 foot. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to establish a stand of switchgrass here, and then I'm going to go really tight to the tree line and maybe remove a couple trees down there. And then I'm going to be planting a double stagger row of silky willow shrubs. So I'm going to have shrubs and then the switchgrass. And the switchgrass is definitely going to get within the next 2 years if it takes. Much taller than the silky willows. But with this year, with the really good moisture, the silky willows have really been taking off. You know, compared to last year where we just didn't get a ton of rainfall. And if you didn't get those cuttings watered, it was tough to get them established and to keep growing healthy. So this year we've been getting tons of reports on our silky willows. Some people have already been seeing 2 feet of growth plus, especially in those southern states. But overall, it's been a really good growing year, and that's why I want to plant the switchgrass now, and I feel confident that the switchgrass will still take, even though I'm planting at the end of June here. Alrighty, so I just got done planting into the standing rye. I can't even show you the seed here because it's such a tiny seed. I wouldn't even be able to find a little switchgrass seedling in here. But it took me about 6 minutes to walk. I walked along the edge here and then basically shot it into the standing rye right along this edge to hopefully, it looked like it was covering about that 6 to 8 feet wide, so that'd be perfect. And then I'm going to come back in right now and then lay this all down with the Goliath crimper. I am going to pass 2 passes over just to make sure that it is good and crimped. Now you could normally just do 1 crimping, especially since this is later in the season where most of the rye here is going to crimp down very, very flat because it is at a later stage in the maturity state. So I'm gonna get inside the skid steer here and then start crimping and then kind of talk about how it goes and then what it looks like at the end. Alrighty guys, so I just got done crimping the rye with the 8-foot wide Goliath here. As you guys can see, this rye has laid down really, really flat. And what I'm actually gonna do is bring out a couple stakes to mark the edge of where that switchgrass is from the actual food plot. So one, I'm not planting my food plot in my switchgrass, and I don't have the switchgrass out competing the food plot. So then, like I said, in this little strip here that I have, it'll be just wider than 6 feet, which would be perfect, as I'm going to do a double staggered row of silky willow shrubs. I don't need any trees in here, clearly, because I have a whole wood line right here. But I just need some added cover because in these little pockets here, the deer can see from about 100 to sometimes 200 yards from the wood line to this food plot. So they don't usually come out until right at dark. So I want to attract them and get them out on the food plots earlier than what I've seen in the past. So that's the main goal of installing the switchgrass and then the silky willow shrubs right alongside. But you guys can see here the difference in the rye coloring, because last week is when I actually came through and crushed this in our food plot. And you guys can see here the buckwheat is starting to pop. It's about 2 to 3 inches tall here. We've been getting very good timely rainfall up here in northern Wisconsin. I know some of you guys are either getting way too much rain or too little rain. Right now we've been getting right on the edge of having too much rainfall, but it's been a really good growing season for the trees and shrubs. The nursery's taking off excellent. We've been getting lots of feedback from customers on how well the trees and shrubs that they have installed this year are doing, and even the stuff that took off last year that they planted that maybe didn't experience a ton of growth, but more so just established a good root system. Now this year, they've over doubled in size, and we're only halfway through the summer, which is actually crazy to say, is we are at the end of June already. So it is crazy how quickly summer is going. I'm glad to be able to get this switchgrass in now. I really wish I would have got it in earlier this spring, but with the trees and shrubs, switchgrass and other things on the food plot come second. So overall, I am super excited for this stand of switchgrass. Now you could have went wider if you had the room. I really didn't want to take away any more of the food plot because you guys can see where the shrub line and tree line starts, and then this right here is the width of the food plot I have. And then I didn't want to take any more away from from the food plot. So that's why I only went 8 foot wide with the switchgrass. And I'm also going to complement that with a double staggered row of silky willow shrubs. So if you guys want to find out more information on what I'm doing on the farm, click the subscribe button and keep following along. I'm going to try to continue to post more updates and videos on the buckwheat, the food plots, our shrub lines, tree lines. I'm going to be doing another video here of our tree and shrub line up there and what we're doing to improve that. But overall, the food plot in the buckwheat is starting to take off, and hopefully then the switchgrass will follow, and I'll probably do a couple mowings. So super fun, quick little project, quick little video here describing what we're doing here on the food plot, and then I'll have another video when we do the double staggered row of silky willow shrubs along this tree line, which will be very soon because we want to get them in so we can start getting them established in the root system before we might potentially go through a drought in July or August. But the way the summer's been going, I would say it's not going to, but I don't want to jinx myself in saying that we're not going to go through a drought like last year, because if we do, then I'm going to be out here watering my newly planted shrubs. But thanks for watching this week's video. Like I said, if you guys enjoyed this, found it interesting, want to learn more and follow along on the farm projects and tree and shrub projects, click that subscribe button, like this video, leave a comment if you guys have done projects like this already with a no chemical spray switchgrass and how well it went or how poorly it went, because I'm going to be an honest review here. If it doesn't take, I'll let you guys know, but I have full anticipation and hope that this switchgrass will be able to take off through this thatch of standing rye that I just crimped, especially with the rainfall that we're going to be getting all tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.